So my question was on discipline. What is your what do you think about discipline now in the modern age, and how to instill discipline on teenagers or children?
I think discipline has to be in doses. You see, when a child is younger and they are not fully functional, it's possible to be able to use a cane to get them out of things. You know, they do something and they do it bad enough, and then you can tap them on the hand, or you can tell them that's bad, and the cane can work. But a cane only works up to a certain point. When they become, honestly, 10, 11, 12, you have to start reasoning with them and showing them why it is that you don't want something to be done. Maybe you can remove privileges, phones, games, those kind of things, in terms of disciplining them. And then they become teenagers, and you have to engage yet another gear in terms of how you're going to deal with them in terms of discipline. And it's progressive, but it's progressive into adulthood, because with adults, if we disagree right now, there's no way I'll jump over the desk and box you. There are mechanisms for how we are going to handle that dispute, and the same thing must apply if we are going to turn them into good adults. So I believe that even the word "spare the rod" wasn't just
a blanket statement.
A blanket statement that revolves around a kiboko. There are so many forms of kiboko that are not exactly rods that you hold in your hand, that can still be applied to make someone see the folly of their ways or get a consequence of their actions. Yeah.
Okay, so once now you finish high school, so your relationship with your dad, past high school, what did you want to be by the once you finished high school? I
wasn't sure what I wanted to be. I think I was, now I see children are so sure some, not all. We still have a bit of guys who are not so sure, but I was not sure at all, and we didn't have a career and guidance, department in my school at that point in time. So there was nothing really to lead us to, because I do believe that most of the things that we should be doing, we should already identify the skills and talents that we have when we are young, and be able to nurture children to be able to make sure that they can feed themselves into becoming the best that they can be in that field. Because I'm a firm believer in the fact that if you love what you do, then the money will follow you. For me, unfortunately, I was in that era of you have to be a doctor, you have to be a lawyer, you've got to be a pilot, those things. So I wasn't really sure what I wanted to be for a long time, and even the subjects in school that I tried business, it didn't work, I dropped it. I tried agriculture, it didn't work. Everybody, imagines that for you, if you're from the Rift Valley, you have farming in you. I'm one of those people, I don't have it.
Have you tried it?
And I've tried it. I'm okay with being an end consumer. I'm not going to lie. Let the people who can farm, good for you, more power to you, you go farm. But not all of us can do that.
What did you grow?
In any case, potatoes. But it was under duress. It was a punishment. There's... So, you need your end users. Quite the farmers will sell to who?
Okay.
See, they need us.
That's true.
Yeah, so I wasn't those people who felt like those are the things I needed to do. At some point, I wanted to be a bus driver.
Okay. Like passionately. Why? Where did that interest come from?
Because I used to see, there were those... I would take the buses to LD those days, and the way those bus drivers were driving,
They were driving fast.
They were driving fast, and there's a big machine, and they are swinging it around, and I was feeling, this is the thing right here. This is very manly. Yet I think in some circles, that would have been seen as a very, very low, career. But I was always good at letter writing.
Okay.
See, I've now written
a book.
Actually 2 books.
2 books, yeah.
And I'm actually ghostwriting 3 books at the moment for 3 other people. But the interesting thing is I was always writing from the beginning. And I do remember my dad actually condemning me about it, because I would write him letters explaining myself from school, and he would say, I stopped writing those long letters of mine. And I also in high school wrote letters for other people.
For other girls in other schools.
Yeah, for guys who could not talk to girls. My desk was a beehive of activity, and I would charge, for that. So there was like a business I was doing there. It got me into a disciplinary issue also at some point, because although I wasn't suspended, but I was actually disciplined for running this letter writing business. But it was very booming for a long time. And it greatly helped my English because I would sit with the dictionary and every letter I wrote, I wanted to throw in a word that would cause a girl to go to the dictionary to go and have to check, look it up.
That's creative.
Yeah, you know, bamboozle her, so to speak.
Okay.
Tisha mtu kabisa.
So at that point you wanted to be a writer. So from the bus driver,
maybe I did want to be a writer, but I didn't know I wanted to be a writer.
Okay,
you understand?
yeah.
I never actually came out
there
and
was
said
no
that.
career like writer at that time.
There was nothing like that.
Yeah. So bus driver, then you get this other skill of writing. Then after that, what happened?
After that, what happened? I finished Form 4.
Still not sure what you want.
Yeah, I did fairly okay, but you know, it was expected that I was supposed to go to med school, but I didn't get the marks for med school.
Okay.
So one day I'm at home and my dad brings me this letter, and it's a letter to MTC to go and study clinical medicine.
Okay.
Because I'm supposed to be a daktari.
Yeah.
And so I go and join.
So you actually joined?
I joined and I was there for a year.
Okay.
You know, wearing lab coats and going for anatomy and physiology and all that. And after 1 year, I thought this is not for me.
What made you realize it's not for you? You're back in Nairobi?
Yes, I came to MTC Nairobi.
Oh, okay.
Right across the road from here. I even had a room in one of those, there's some 3 blocks there you can see from
the hostels.
From the roundabout there. My room was up there, number 615.
Okay.
Facing this side of the road. So sometimes I look up there and I can't believe I used to be there. But what made me drop out was I found microbiology quite annoying, to be honest.
Annoying? Why do you mean?
And it wasn't very easy for me to do it. The anatomy was fine, the physiology was fine, a couple of the clinical works were okay. And the other thing I didn't like was we had to go to the morgue at one point. And at that point in time, I just wasn't feeling that story at all. So I tried to talk to my parents about it, but I think at that moment in time, there was no talking out of becoming a daktari. I mean, even my relatives were already calling me doctor. You know, at functions. Acha daktari aongee, you know how we put pressure on children, eh?
Yeah.
Hata hajamaliza first year, hata one semester, eh? Acha wakili kuja hapa useme wakili. And I know it's a feeling of pride for parents, but really sometimes it can be
pressure.
A lot of pressure that's very unnecessary, you know. So when I dropped out...
Let me ask, before you dropped out, was there a point where you're like, let me try this out when you joined, or were you joining just...
I tried it out for 1 year, I tried it out.
Oh, okay.
I did try it out. It just didn't... So I was never supposed to be a doctor.
Is it, that's what I want to understand, is it something you understood that I'm never going to be a doctor, or was it, these things are not for me? Like, is it something you quit, and if something you had pursued and done, you'd have finished?
I think I would have finished.
Because you said you're a top student and you could get... And
yeah, in terms of the academic, the academic nature of the work, I think if I had stuck with it, I would have finished, and probably I'd have, gotten the clinical medicine thing and gone to do something else in the medical field, so and eventually become that doctor that they wanted. But
that decision to quit, knowing that if you really wanted to finish, you would have finished, I think that takes a lot of courage. How are you able to decide to quit?
I decided to quit because of one thing. I failed in my microbiome, and I was supposed to do a supplementary, which would have determined whether I got second year or not. And I really did not want to do that supplementary because I didn't want to study for that microbiome, and I wasn't even feeling that entire subject. So I talked to an uncle of mine to tell my parents that I don't want to do this anymore. Okay. Which he did. And they listened, actually, but there was a big, meeting about it, and a discussion on what do you really want to do, what do you really want to do, and so much pressure on what did I really want to do. So I had to come up with things that I wanted to do really quickly, to try and fill the void. So for 6 months, I went and did shipping management. That didn't work. Then I went and did, business administration. That didn't work.
Let me ask, at this point, maybe just to take you back, Kidogo, because your parents are paying fees.
Yeah.
So how is the impact of, financially to your parents on this?
Very draining. The impact of them and the fees is very draining. Eventually, I did a community service diploma, which I finished. Okay, but it was easy because the coursework was it was a breeze. I finished and I actually got that diploma. But then during that time, my sister had gone to Barton University. She had done biochemistry, serious things. And she got a scholarship to the US and then sent me an invitation to the university where she was. So in the midst of me hop, step and jumping, she was busy trying to find me a way to go to America. So then I got the invitation to this school maybe 2 years later. So it was in early 1999 when I got the invitation and an I-20 form. And then I went for a visa sometime in October of that year.
And you're going there to do a degree?
I was going there to do a degree
Your first
in sports
degree.
medicine, which...
Sports medicine?
Yes,
How did
which
you end
is
up
basically
with
only because sports medicine would get me out of the country. You see,
Okay.
it wasn't, there wasn't sports medicine here first. You know, if you want to go and do a degree out of the country, then it had to be something that your country was not really doing, so they can see the point of giving you a visa. Yeah.
Okay.
So the whole concept there was get the visa. By all means
It was not to do sports medicine.
necessary. I kind of liked it when I went there, but the concept was not.
To go there. Why did your sister want you to go there?
Because she thought that, you know, she'd been in America for a while, you know, a better life, opportunities. The same things we say,
What
the
kind of
American
relationship
dream.
did you have with her at that time?
We were
Your
very
sister?
tight. My sister and I were very
tight.
close.
Yeah.
And you know, those days we didn't have phones, so we were mostly communicating. Even emails took a long time for you to get an email back, and mostly by mail. So she would tell me, this is what's happening, these are the photos, look, I've gone over here, I've already bought a car, you know, I'm living in my own house, and those are the things I wanted. And to be honest, my parents were tired of my hop, step and jump activities.
So in that phase of life where you're hopping or from one course to another, because maybe you didn't know what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Looking at it now in hindsight, do you think they were helpful for you to go through that?
No, I really wish I had guidance
Okay.
earlier, even before then. I wish I had a program like ropes, honestly speaking, because even in ropes, you know, we talk about careers. You know, I don't think anyone talked to me about a career ever until I was in my mid-20s. Like seriously, probing what I really want to do and become. And by that time, you know, sometimes if we don't get this tree bent early, then we have to live with the bend the tree takes on its own. And all we can do is prune it. Because down the river already things have happened and the course has already taken a very different course from then. So I also look at it twofold. There's that which I can say that should have been done for me. And then there's that which I can say that personally I also didn't have much of the ability to self-reflect the way I would now, or the way I encourage you know, our teens at that age to do now. So there's a responsibility that was mine. There's one that belonged to the world generally that I was living in, and both those things didn't work out, you know, in good stead.
So, and for those who are maybe currently going through that confusion state,
Yeah.
how would you advise them right now? Who are in that phase of, I don't know what I want to do, I'm trying out a lot of things, and I'm not yet sure what I
think
can
the easiest way to know what it is you want to do is to do a listing of the things that you think you're good at. Yeah, what comes naturally to you, and that one everybody knows. I don't have to. You can tell me yours, somebody else can tell me yours, but there are things you know that this I'm really good at. And from those things, look at the possibilities of you getting into them and making it the very best in that field. I always say, you know, even a chef, you know, we can say nimpishi too, but a chef at the top of his game is making more money than a lot of managers in this particular city. Yeah, I mean, if you look at guys like Versace, those are fundis. Yeah.
So being competent, like
they're just
being
fundis,
excellent,
but they are
being
making very excellent
in
shots.
your-
We are buying them, donning them, walking around, blah blah blah. I mean, those are just, you know, if you looked at like Clarks, unifundi tu kiatu, but it's the quality of the shoe that makes the shoe so expensive that gives that guy so much money. So we don't have to sit there as parents and railroad our children into particular courses to do simply because we think these are the ones that will make them be recognized. I mean, if all of us are doctors, who's going to be the patients? You know, if we are all lawyers, you know, who will
commit the crimes.
not who will commit the crimes, but who will you represent? I mean,
Yeah,
you know, I mean, we have to look at all these things and see all these things have got a role. Even the person who made this table, if he's not good at making this table, it should not be seated here today.
Yeah.
You know. And there are some guys who can make a bogus thing, and there's some guys who can make a... So the essence should be to try to get you to a place of excellence with your gifts and talents that have come naturally to you. They then can make you enjoy what you're doing, which in turn, because you enjoy what you're doing and you're forever trying to think, this thing that I'm enjoying, what can I do to enhance it? What can I do to enhance it? The money just comes. It's not... We don't... The problem with Kenya, and especially our way of having been brought up, is we look at a career with an end game of how much money we'll make, as opposed to how much satisfaction it will give you, yeah? And then how much money will follow you, not how much money you'll make.